Hey YouTube, and on today's episode of That's That Shit I Don't Like, we're gonna talk about how I do not like being a big sister. Okay? Because some people have good experiences. I'm talking about my experience, and it ain't been so great. Anyways, the first reason why I do not like being a big sister is because it forced me to grow up fast. Like, by the time I was in sixth grade, I ain't had no childhood. Like, I couldn't go outside, I couldn't hang with my friends, I couldn't go to sleepovers, I couldn't do nothing because I always had to stay in the house and watch my siblings. Ew. Um, Second thing is I had to fill in the gaps where my parents, guardians lacked. I was not raised by my mom and my dad, but that's another conversation for another day. So yes, I had guardians, guardians of the state, people who had custody of me, but they was family members. Um, yeah, and basically when they was tired and they didn't want to do stuff and they didn't want to cook and they didn't want to clean or they didn't want to do hair, that was my responsibility as the third parent, oldest sibling, older sister. I was never appreciated for all the efforts and all the ways I showed up in the household, and it it came off as entitlement, or it became entitlement because it was like, because my siblings was so used to me showing up for them, and if my guardian didn't want to do something for them, then it's, oh, go ask Shanteria. It was like, okay, well, you the person that we run to all the time, so like that's just your job. But it was just like, oh, I don't appreciate you. It was more so like, this is just what I expect you to do because you've been doing it for so long. And I never liked that because it was like, bitch, I don't got to do this shit. And it took me a long time to even get the balls to say, I don't have to do none of this. And I'm doing it because I actually love you. Or maybe because I've been programmed to think that this is what love is, self sacrificing and showing up for others and not showing up for self. So, yeah, it kind of fucked me up mentally. Always showing up for people who didn't appreciate it, but always expected it. And then always ended up in a space where I felt like I was doing something wrong for trying to be there for other people, but somehow couldn't show up for myself in the same way. It made me confused as to what am I really capable of. But then I had to realize, like, look at how many people call on you to fix their problems for them. That is enough to show you that even if they don't appreciate you, they see value in you. They're just not going to say it out loud. And that was just a fucked up experience. Else is high expectations, no room for failure, never rewarded for my deeds. And we're gonna start with high expectations. As the oldest sister, I was always expected to make the best grades. I was always expected to be number one. I was always expected to show everybody how it's done and it's possible to get done. And then everybody want to follow in my footsteps, but nobody want to give me the credit for actually like giving you the inspiration that you needed to go after your dreams and goals. A lot of times it turned into I'm the girl to be, everybody want to compete with me type of thing, and it was irritating. Like, very much my whole childhood, and it took me a long time to realize that the same people that I encouraged and inspired and helped them see they self was the same ones who was trying to surpass me and beat me and be better than me. And it was like, I'm just trying to be an inspiration and show you that you can do it if I can do it. But it didn't come out and play out the way I thought it would. But yeah, no room for failure. As a kid, if I got bad grades, and it's like, yeah, if you get bad grades, you expect it to be chastised, but it was like the same standards was not across the board for everybody. If I got bad grades, I was gonna be punished. I was gonna be on punishment for months. Couldn't eat certain foods, sleep on the floor, like crazy stuff. But if one of my other siblings made bad grades, it was like, oh, okay, well, do better next time, like type shit. It was not no, oh, you're grounded because I'm not finna have a failure in my house. Like, it was like not the same standard across the board. And mind you, when I was growing up, I was the oldest girl, and it was like six of us in the house, six or seven of us in the house. So I'm the one that's getting the harshest punishments, and then everybody else is just getting like a tap on the hand or a pat on the back, and you could do better than that. That's it. Um, Never rewarded. For them to always have high expectations of me, I was never rewarded for the good stuff that I did. I was always punished for doing something bad. So I feel like it programmed me to feel like I had to perform for love. And that was something that I really had to look deep within myself and find the root of, and why was I in relationships that had me in a space where if my man was not proud of me or was nitpicking with me, I felt like I needed to do better and work harder to prove to him. And it was just like, why are you doing that? Because this nigga not going out of his way to prove himself to you. And I know I'm digressing, but I want y'all to understand that me being in relationships where I felt that I had to prove myself in order to be worthy of love or to prove myself that I'm a certain type of woman, it allowed me to see that that's not the right way that you're supposed to be in a relationship. Like that's not a healthy dynamic relationship. And even if the guy not gonna say it out loud, he notices that I'm looking for validation through performance, and he's not gonna give it to me to see how far he can push me. And that is what allowed me to be able to say, okay, this is a pattern that I'm aware of, and I saw it when I was a kid, and that comes from a state of healing. Another reason I did not like being an older sibling is because my needs were ignored while I supported my siblings. And that's something that went on for years. Like, even in my adulthood, it was like everybody expected me to be the bigger person. Everybody expected me to show up for everybody else. But when it was everybody's turn to show up for me, it was like crickets. You can hear a pin drop. The silence was loud. Okay. And it was just like, that's how y'all gonna do me after all the stuff I did for y'all. And it's like I got to a point where I became enraged because it's like I spent all this time being a good big sister and I can't get the same support. And it was very disheartening to realize like, damn, I'm sacrificing my resources to help y'all, and the same thing is not happening in return. And that's when I had to realize like being selfish is important, and I was not taught that. I was taught to self sabotage through over giving and people pleasing, and it wasn't a good experience because I always ended up with the shoe on my face, and I was not in a space where I could handle the disappointment, and it was literally driving me crazy. Like being ignored while I showed up for everybody else was the worst thing that I could have experienced. Like going to jail and being in psych wards, and mind you, all these experiences was happening because I could not understand why my family was so crazy. A lot of people will literally play mind games with you and try to convince you that you're the problem because they don't want to accept accountability. And that stuff made me depressed and very sad because it's like all I want is for everyone to get along and have an understanding, and my family couldn't do that. And that was a strong need of mine. Like I needed peace, I needed understanding, and when I can't get that, that shit drives me crazy. It literally drove me the fuck crazy. And so it made me realize like I'm giving y'all the things that I need, and y'all can't reciprocate it back to me. Another reason is I was conditioned to believe I had to perform for love. And that's back to what I was saying about um being in relationships and realizing like, hey, this is not healthy. Like I shouldn't have to show up and go 1,000% just for you to feel my love when just my loyalty and my ability to, communicate clearly how I feel about you and show that through everyday action should be enough. But instead you want to terrorize me because your insecurities, and now I gotta feel like I'm walking on eggshells and do this and that. And now I'm in a space where I'm performing and not just being myself fully, and you accepting it as it is. If y'all hear my baby in the background, I just ask y'all to just ignore him because his mouth is big as mine. So, yes, being conditioned to perform for love was something that I went through as a child. Always having to make good grades, always having to be the best at everything, always having to do stuff for the benefit of others. And if it was not to their liking, then I was reprimanded or chastised, and it put me in a space growing up and being in relationships and even friendships that I feel like I had to perform and prove myself in order for people to like me, love me, accept me, respect me. Um, I was also conditioned to self sabotage, meaning put others' needs above my own, and that was taught through being a big sister. Like when I was a kid, my aunt would take all my clothes that I would get from other family members as gifts and give them to my siblings. Like they couldn't even fit them. We weren't even the same size. I was always the thicker one. I was always very shapely. she would take my stuff and be like, "Oh, it's too grown for you," and then go give it to her daughter that's 9 years old and I'm 13. We're 4 years apart. What is a 9 year old doing with the stuff that a 13-year old is wearing? It didn't make sense. And then it put me in a space where I was always expected to share everything I have, give everything I have away, and I never was allowed to have things on my own or just be selfish, period. And that conditioning put me in a space where I was always giving everything. I could give the clothes off my back, literally have a nice North Face jacket on, fur on the inside and the outside, and I'm taking it off and giving it to my sister. And I could have nice Jordans that somebody just bought me, and I never even had Jordans before, but because I've never known how to keep things that I have for myself, I'm giving it away to prove my love to somebody else. I need shoes too. I didn't have stuff growing up too, but now that I'm an adult and I'm in a space where I can help you even more than what I could when we was kids, I'm giving you things that you can't give me back. And now I'm in a space where I'm lacking because I gave it to you, and you might not even keep it long term because somebody done took it from you, or they're angry because I blessed you with something. It was just, oh, so it's just like, yeah, giving all my love away with nothing to gain, and it put me in a space where I was setting myself up for failure because I had to learn the hard way that if you don't have anything for yourself, then why are you giving it to somebody else? If you don't have two of these, then why would you give the only thing or the only one that you have away? That don't make sense. And it took me to be in the most fucked up situations to realize, like, damn, you doing stupid shit, giving your resources away to people who can't reciprocate it. But another thing is, as a big sister, like, my position never expired, especially when you have rinky dink ass parents. And I'm not talking about my guardians that raised me, because once I turned 19, I left home and I never came back, like, ever, never. And the one time I did go back home, I went to jail because they was fighting. And we'll get into that another time in another story time as well. But yeah, my position never expired, because my siblings saw me show up for them when we was kids. When I did become an adult, 19, 20, and trying to figure out life on my own, our mother was not in a space where she could provide for my younger siblings who was still with our guardians. So she would just put them off on me. Oh, call your sister, call your sister. So now I'm in a space where I'm working at McDonald's, only making like $600 every 2 weeks, and I'm trying to take care of me and a 14-year-old. And she's not my child, she's not my responsibility. But because I've had to be responsible for her my entire life, that's what I'm going to keep doing because that's all I know. And I never was given a permission to stop and focus on myself. I was never conditioned that, oh, that's your family, that's your family, that's your family. But what about me? Like, what about me? And I never was taught that I was important too, or my needs matter, and it's okay to disappoint other people as long as you not disappointing yourself. And the biggest disappointment was showing up for everybody else and not showing up for myself, and not believing or knowing that I was capable of doing all the things that I desired because I was too busy trying to be somebody else Superman. And that was the biggest regret of being the sibling, the oldest sibling, and your position never expires because you never knew that you could stop at any time. But another thing, and another thing. I was ostracized since I started saying no and no longer living up to other people's expectations of me. So once I did decide that, hey, I can stop doing shit for motherfuckers who don't appreciate me, I became the villain. I became the bitch. I became the motherfucker that ain't shit. And it was like, damn, that's how y'all feel? That's how y'all feel? For real? Oh, okay. And it was just like crazy because y'all don't remember all the stuff I did do. Y'all just remember the stuff I don't want to do no more because y'all don't appreciate it. Cool. Got it. And another thing, and the last thing that really had me like, yeah, I gotta talk about this, is the fact that being a big sister drove me crazy. And what drove me crazy is how people expected so much out of me, however, could never show up for me in ways that I desired. And I already went into how I liked clarity, clear communication, peace, and just harmonious environments. And I could not get that because my family is dysfunctional. And that is the root of why I have been having psychotic episodes since I graduated high school, since I was 20 years old, on and off. And the longest I've been without having a psychotic episode is 5 years. But last year, 2025, broke that streak when I tweaked out on the internet for like 30 days straight. That is my take on being a big sister and why I do not like that shit. And I'm in a space where I'm trying to eradicate my desire to be there for people and show up more for myself because I did not get to even invest in my desires, my dreams, my goals as much as I would have liked to because I was too busy trying to be there for everybody else. But yes, like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.